Hello, I'm Dan Norenberg, and I help leadership teams play at their best. Do you know how when you take your leadership team off-site and invest a great deal of time and energy to change the direction of your company, to improve results, and to bring more value to your customers, only to see 2 or 3 months later that the change that you hoped your strategy would bring really wasn't successful? If you've ever had that experience, you're not alone, because only 10% of formulated strategy ever turns into successful execution. In any given organization, only 10% of the people, the employees, feel that they understand their own company's strategy. And in a recent survey of global executives, only 2% of those executives felt that they would achieve 80 to 100% of their strategic objectives through their strategy. So I make sure this doesn't happen by insisting and encouraging that the leadership teams that I work with regarding strategy, that they implement strategic check-ins periodically throughout the duration and journey of their strategy. And today what I want to do is I want to introduce 3 very pragmatic, simple tools that are easily to replicate throughout your organization that encourage a very authentic dialogue about your strategy, what's working, what's not, how to create clarity, and how to create connection. So those 3 tools are putting strategy on your ropes, number 1. Number 2, questions that your strategy should answer. And number 3, an uncertainty and unclarity mapping exercise. Now let me begin with the first one. You could also do this on a flip chart in a conference room, but I find it's much more powerful when you do it outside. Putting strategy on your ropes, what I do is I take 2 ropes, 30 meters long, or 10 yards, or 10 meters for the Europeans, and I run one on the y-axis here, and one on the x-axis. This rope right here signifies clarity. How rationally clear is the strategy for you? At the top end of the rope, it's extremely clear for me. And at the bottom end of the rope, the strategy isn't clear for me at all. The intersecting rope here is about emotional connection, because we know that strategy is more than a head game, it's also about the heart. So on this end of the rope, the strategy for me is very emotionally connected. I'm very emotionally connected to the strategy, and over here is I'm emotionally not connected to the strategy. So you have 2 different parameters here. Then I ask the leadership team, or the leadership team plus their first results, and you can also do this with a couple of different cross-functional teams to see how this works. You ask people to stand to the degree that they feel how clear they are about the strategy and how emotionally connected they are. So they'll take various places in these 4 quadrants. And then you encourage people to have a dialogue about why they chose to stand where they are and what it would take to move everyone up into this corner. What's important to remember with this dialogue exchange is it isn't about good or bad or right or wrong. If someone should stand down in this section of the quadrant, meaning they're not clear about the strategy, nor do they feel emotionally connected to the strategy, we don't want to throw stones at them, right? We want to understand how they feel and why they feel that they do, so that we can move everybody up to this end. Because if the leadership team or leadership team plus 1 isn't clear about the strategy and isn't connected to the strategy, why would anybody else in the organization? The second tool that you can do either on a flip chart, or you can use Post-its, or in Europe they use these pin boards with cards. It's an exercise called questions your strategy should answer. So after 2 or 3 months of running a strategy, just sit down in a brainstorming session and think, if our strategy were really excellent, what question should it answer? And you just generate a whole series of questions from a variety of things: resources, costs, direction, collaboration. Then you cluster those questions and you put headlines on those. And then you use that as a master checklist to check, does our strategy that we've been running for 2 or 3 months, does it really answer the questions that we identified a good strategy should? That will also bring some clarity and connection to the strategy. And the third tool that I suggest that you use periodically throughout your strategic journey is uncertainty and unclarity mapping. If you ask people at an executive meeting or even a large town hall, how clear are you about our strategy? What kind of answer are you going to get? Everybody's going to nod their head. Nobody's going to stand forward and say, I don't know what the strategy is, okay? So you need to stimulate that so you can learn what's underneath the iceberg. So my suggestion is that you sit down with a group of people and simply say, What is it about our strategy that we're unclear about or we're uncertain about? There's no such thing as a good answer or a bad answer or a right or a wrong answer, but what is it that we're not clear about? And generate all the uncertainty, taking it out of people's heads and out of people's hearts, getting it up on a board. Once again, cluster the like themes, make headlines, and then you can develop a systematic plan to moving uncertainty and unclarity out of your strategy. I'm certain that if you use these 3 tools along your strategic journey, you'll create far more robust and authentic conversations, and you'll create more clarity and more emotional cohesiveness around your strategy. My name's Dan Norenberg, and I help leadership teams play at their best. Thank you.